Welcome to the Mayahen community parameter video. This is a video in a bid to study the parameter line between Mayahen and neighboring villages. The Mayahen community has been facing numerous challenges with neighborhood communities with regards to their marcation. There are challenges, there are fracas, there are difficulties. This is going to be a substantial fact for the children yet unborn. That was Patilo, the present chief of the Mayahen community. He was explaining about the stick he is hitting with the cutlass. He said on his explanation that that stick was left for them by their ancestors, leaders that have passed through this community. That stick, they met it there. He named few, and that was their boundary, and it is still their boundary, and that is where their boundary started. He said on the likes of Yeli Nadia, Pa Tamba, Tamba Namine, Pa Suri, Pa Fake, Pa Sedu Nadia, and comes to him now while he was making his summary speech. He himself is Patilo, the present town chief of the Mayahen community. He said, let me follow him. He will take me through the view to notice some of the good work done by their ancestors before leaving this inheritance for them. As we move on, key things to note. The left-hand side of this video is the portion of the Kasunga community. That left-hand side is the land axis, and that is the land partition. The road we are going through, this narrow path that we are walking through, that is the boundary division for these two communities. The left-hand side of this video is the Kasunga community, and the right-hand side is the Mayahen community axis. Please, you need to keep track of this as we go on. So at the end of the day, at least you will see some of the details explosion we are trying to dig into. Remember, the water stream that we just left is called the Mayahen water stream, right? I quote in Limba, it is called the Mayahen man. Please, as we move on to see some of these historical mapping, the historical mapping material or implement, ingenious material used to map this land. Days back, some of these materials we are going to meet there, they have been there for more than 30 years and
okay, bandrona.
Okay. Been there, being put together by these two.
No. Okay.
The town chief Patilo was explaining to us that these sticks we are seeing now, they were not planted originally at the demarcation line, at the boundary line. That is not where they were planted. But they notice with wisdom, with their own experience they've gathered, the ancestors, they decide not to plant it on the demarcation, because if they plant it there, it will have to extend to the neighboring village land. So what they want it to be some meters in their land. So when it extends, no matter how it extends, it will not jump the boundary, the original boundary. So he further continues to explain that the original boundary are the rocks. So if you can see, the Kentiks are inside the Mayahen community. So outside the Kentiks, you can see rocks.
Because Bandro, the kingdom stagnant, because Togte, Ramama. So, by am seeing 30 years, Mama, Maramba, that you were.
He further continues to say this is the second port of cane sticks that we are seeing now, and those cane sticks are the boundaries today, because that was the initiative and the mindset of their ancestors in planting those cane sticks. And he elaborates and emphasizes that those cane sticks, they have been there for more than 30 years today. And of course, they don't know the record. They alone know they inherit those cane sticks there as demarcation line between. He further continues to explain to us that the present location where we are standing, this geographical location, that is his own son, his biological son is the person working there. The name of the son is Kaba Samura. Then he asks us that let's proceed. We can learn the histories of to remind us that this is the number 3 portion of cane sticks after we left the stream, where the tree that they inherit from their ancestors, where the demarcation boundary of the Mayahen community and the Kasunga community starts onto this point where we are now. He reminds us that if we notice, there are stones after the cane sticks. You will meet stones, a bunch of rocks. Those rocks, he said emphatically, those are the original implements materially used days back in the boundary. The Mayahen, the ancestors that were alive during that time, they decided to plant cane sticks within their own portion of land, but close to the demarcation line, so that it will not extend and cross the borderline. He informed us that, he said, Kande Bala was the one who was working here before he passed away. As we move on, he informed us once again that this is the number 4 portion of cane sticks we are meeting, and we must keep track that the left hand axis of this video is the portion of the Kasunga community, and that the right hand axis is the portion of the Mayahen community. And he further continues to inform us that on the way going, we are going to meet the old material that we are used days back by their ancestors, which are rocks. They will put those rocks just like fire stones. They will put them on the demarcation as they walk. Those boundaries have been there for decades and they are still there. You can see as we move on, you can see those rocks. These are the rocks that we are left there by their ancestors, both the two communities. When they come for work, some of them will put it there when they were having genuine community elders who believe and content in what they have. But today, I'm afraid it's a different ball game. If you see, when we move on, you can see that those rocks, like fire stones, they are at the pathway those rocks are the original marcation, just as I informed you earlier on. They are mixed. As Patelo continues to inform us that those rocks we are passing through the pathway, they are not only placed there by the Mayahen community ancestors, but those rocks were placed there both by the two community ancestors. That means the Mayahen community ancestors and that of the Kasunga community ancestor. As they walk, those days when they walk, when they find those rocks in the field, they bring them to the marcation line and place them there because they are difficult. As we continue the ride, you will notice we are going through some hilly areas, but those hills are made hills. They are not natural. Okay, those hills, which I will call in another word insect house, those insect house are being formed by our ancestors for the two communities. This when they were working in the field, when they gather those weeds, those unwanted stuff, they will put them at the boundary line between the two communities. Those weeds will now look like heaps, and because they've been there for a long time and they've get rust and nobody is there to work them because it has taken a lot of time, so they will now be insect houses. Those insect houses, they are the pathway you are seeing on the boundary that we are going through now.
Dundu, so nabi nami, katika paseni, nanda kwa mai, so nanda nuki, nanda kwa mai, kwa hiyo mana kwa biantu, nende sikio, nabi wa paseni, wana nabi nami, so beri nanda mai, so baramba, pakuende, kintengi da baramba bena, kintengi biantu, so bautok se bayamana, so baramba bena mike dinga, ndi sehwa, ni bikaso, ni na bia kata, bikaso ni na bia kata, that. Kuna bie ile hungande na utoge ndini asi mahi barama wala wale chicho aba chicho bando bie punchani, so that kuna bie so imba sa misi hali ndio kuti so bata wana bado na kuti chicho kuna ile pe kaita ta harani ile mahi so mahi ni so na kama mahi mimi na kile mahi ni mahi na kubichi so ile sim mahi so ile kap punchani mahi asi yutu baramba bado wana ba chicho bando, so that ana sana me ba min tame ba bandro won tagi na tabana min thinking ko yama na wa tambo pago, so yelin daga, so tambo na mine, so surubu bombolai ma ho me tangi de kosi ne daga ne gumi daga yo ya hali ando kutando koyo ama kosi na so hola sa so ka inda ni binda gusu, so ba documents ka coach, so ya me daga ne gumi dire tonko daga na wa pili ma tin dire tonko, so nino galande dise hele mani bisu, so kau kandago, so kama banda kanda momo before, so mike hele kosovo mike hele tonko bide hele kango wa pili ga dio ka kambia bide hele ka tonko sili ba bandro to bide kai ranch, so da mene kuti ni sa da huna bia ba so na bandro kento ramba mena ngai daga puja boso baba so yana bam yana da fa ha yana karaga sa kai ko nan da ta ko mun ka ban ran da na to kali bele be ji so ba ta he mena da amba na tu be ndere ba ta non konto ba sa ha undaga yama le kwenti ba den chi to ba be la ba chi to.
This is another bunch of cane sticks that was destroyed by the Kasunga community. According to the town chief of the Mayahen community, Patelo, he said this is not the first time that the Kasunga community is undertaking such a venture, but most often when they go to court level, the Mayahen community will win. At the end of the day, the Kasunga will be mandated to appeal and apologize for such a behavior. This thing has been happening for quite some time now. Yet, they still intrude the Mayahen community with massive destruction of the boundary, most especially the cane sticks that was planted by the ancestors of the Mayahen community. This
parti bio na o na ko de ton kan ba ba na ngai mi ke mi se ka tara ta na ngai parti bio hele mena ba ba ma ton kan de ba kamu ni de bi so mu chi ti de so parti bio de na o na ba mena ko ba ko ba ngo ba ba chi to do mena ngo ba ton kan de ba ba chi to ba do ani huta ta una be be ton kan parti bio na mi ta ka da de parti to ba ton kan ba ma ho parti bio na
mbe unde ni wali galogo ba tuwe dundu ngarani bamba.
So kondo mana la sara kala
Ina de tugunda
da petu la sara da we na bana da go mai patina ni da go mai
ga yamana
mamma hinde ha mo da mamma hinde bi handa mamma hinde bi sin da mahi to bi funci da ni da sara ko so ba da sin wale sin da mi
It is vital to note that the boundary we are going through is the boundary between the Mayahen community and the Kasunga community. Don't forget, from the Mayahen village to this boundary that we are presently riding through, it is over 5 miles away from where the town is presently located. So that is the advantage the Kasunga community want to work with. But it is interesting to note that beyond all evidential facts, the Mayahen peoples, they owe this land, and that is their property.
So activebu de ni tiene ko pom na wala ni se ba ko ro de tala ko seri ba de tala muna bi ho ho mani ba de na de no ama isi na activere ko ke mani ma ta ka di ko baramba na ma hi de la na de na tiene ko pom ba de ti ba na di so ba do na ba de ba ti kana tena ko so na ba ta ba ni de se ba ti de ba ni ti de bandro fekk na dana beni bandro am fekk ko ma beni bandro ni ndi kada beni jadi hello ni to di ma he ni na di bandro de
okay.
One must also note that I am working now with the Mayahen community elders who are taking me through this ride.
Why you feeling about? So nganda ka batike huma kala mama to watu de mahina kama de tibu ke ba tatu ba bana na de mahina de to ba la bele de tibu so kala bena to ne ba na bandro to so now is the tahina ba hanga kore ne de ni kore kore ba de rama ba bena bena to de bandro tu di na he di ka yo ndo mahi roka ken ba kan me ni ko mai ta 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 ni ngai ga ma ga de ko se ga baramba ni ma ha kina de ngai ga ma ga de me se ni di ka sa bandro now baramba now bandro in and this a put and this for them you must have the castle.
Nevertheless, they are far from it, and it is also vital to note that from this marcation, the present boundary that we are going through this video to the Kasunga community, it is something like 15 meters. From the land to their houses, it is something like 15 meters, 15 to 100 meters. Yeah, because there are certain houses that are not closer to the bush, but presently where I'm standing, I can even see houses, I can hear them. Right? That's the advantage they want to use and then intrude the Mayahe community.
Nabina ifunde bande nya wali monda maikinde nya wali ha yame tane konto ga chat anda mande sikyo ga nya wali yame tane konto ga chat ndio mpu de nanda ande ma kana unde nanda ande ma bere biana maikinde nya wali ga yamana di monda wani bena bide na tuge barani bamba na tuinda ndo yame tane konto kana baramba bamba yosi me asu tunka di ba chone ba ndo la ba fu
But I'm afraid the Mayahe have its first hand with all evidential facts, documentation, and of course, we are seeing now the historical inputs by their ancestors who have gone long since, the two communities. Let's go as we move on with the ride. As we move, you will notice some of the cane sticks, what they did to them was raw soda. That's raw soda, and that chemical that is often used by farmers to at least spray thick bushes to get the bush.
Baramba suda na tibinde bu asiben kumi suda udite ukina tubube kapu suda udite na tibinde ben kumi bantu ala ba fu mchabeliga.
Wow, if you can see from the first pot of cane sticks that we just left, there is an illustration of trying to say that what they use to get these cane sticks dye is a combination of raw soap, the raw soda, plus that chemical that farmers use to get the bush, the thick bushes rot.
Sudah udite meni na kurubinde amba huna puncha ndi binde ka na na kende bandre na hunda kemi ka wata na baramba he bandre na mingi kani da bendo ngale do kendo na toka na pele so una bi mtu baramba ba tena na kisa he cha fa Mereka yang akan dan bila bisa lebih pasti bisa lebih lebih pasti ini kan saya kata malu dan dari pasti bisa lebih pasti lebih banyak kan mulai kan ada yang kita harus apa yang boleh lakukan dan ada kita dan apa jadi pada huna naga baram di mana kita dan pada huna itu tak boleh naga baram bila bila kita boleh ini kita tahu baru tu boleh mana kalau boleh mana waktu mana waktu dak tambona msibu wo bila kaka ni awali bila danga ya mana so kuli di live bagi bila bila
Haven't noticed this boundary for a while now, going through this ride, making this video. It is key to note the following. There are 4 materials used to map out this boundary. One major material used by the Mayaheng community ancestors is the cane sticks. The cane sticks, they use it for their own personal safety, and in combination with the palm trees and insect house, together with the rocks, which they both put together. So we must keep track. One must try to figure this out. These are the 4 materials used in mapping out the land between the Mayaheng community and the Kasunga community. According to Patilo, the town chief of the Mayaheng community, who is taking me through this ride, he informed us that the present location where we are was worked out by Lahai Yeli. But that man is no longer alive, but he has died. I quote in Limba, Lai Yeli. That was the name of the man that was formerly working here. But now, Fode Conte inherits that place, because Fode Conte is a son to that lineage. So Fode Conte is the man that is presently working at the present location where the video is. We move on to study. Don't forget, keep track. You will notice these cane sticks are being planted inside a hole. You see the hole. They are planted inside a hole. What these people did was to dig a big pit. Into that pit was where they plant those cane sticks we are seeing. According to the town chief, he said this portion of the land is being worked out by Pasamukano. That man is from Kalunke village. That Pasamukano is from Kalunke village, who is working this portion of the boundary. Still in progress as we are moving on with the community chief of the Mayaheng and also elders together with the youth men moving with me as I'm taking this ride. The person that was working there was Pasana. That Pasana was from Lunke village, small Lunge community village. That is where that Pa was from. And we need to keep track of the materials that we are using. According to Patelo, the town chief of the Mayaheng community, who is hitting the forest tree that you are seeing, he said it was one Mr. Suri who planted those sticks, but he's now late.
na daga ni the forest what in the person na wenda ni kada ni sa honga ni ni sa ba ha ba wa ko ni
Bembena bia utume.
ba ni na bia ko ni ni na bia ko ko sisi ko ni tuwo ko mani ko tuwo de ka batta he ba bena ma nanda be he ko forest ba bena bena tuwo ban tuwo
Oh.
forest ba bena ka hi samu ka ba ka ha on no ko nanda ba mo ka samu on no.
And we need to keep track of the materials that we are used to map out this boundary. I said it, I cannot overemphasize it. The first major implement or materials used by the Mayahen ancestors is the cane sticks, together with palm trees. We have insect house, which are bok, right? And also the rocks, as to per the explanation given to us by the present chief of the Mayahen community. He said to us that those rocks are the permanent and fundamental boundary between them, the Mayahen community, and that of the Kasunga community. But interestingly, their own parents want something remarkable and something that will stand a chance even with difficult time. They decided to dig holes where they plant the cane sticks. We've been going through this video. This is how we continue to move. We are closer to another stream. We are getting to another water stream where we are going to meet the last cane sticks that were planted by the ancestors of the Mayahen community. Let's go.
Ibarambalas bambena bama.
Yeah,